Hello friends, my name is Milan and welcome to my Spring Framework course. In this course we will learn how to do web applications using a Spring Framework. And if you have a knowledge of core Java and basics of MySQL, this course will be great for you to improve your programming skills. And we will work in the Eclipse, but because the default theme by Eclipse is a white and this is not very good for the eyes, I have installed some black theme to be easier for the viewers. And first thing, we have here by default Java Enterprise edition here, perspective, and we don't have any server here. We don't have any project in our project explorer. First thing that we need to do, we need to create a project. We can do the Spring project in different ways. We can use a dynamic web project, we can use a Maven, or we can use a Gradle, but my favorite is a Maven, and all course project will be with Maven. And first thing that we need to do, we need to create a project. We can create from here, or you can have option here, file new Maven project. It's completely the same. And let's click on next. And here on the filter, we need to type org.apache.maven, and we need to wait a little bit. We will have some options here, and what we want to create, we want to create a web application, and this is the last option here. We need to select Maven archetype web app. 1.4 is the current version of my Eclipse. Let's click on finish or next. It's we need to click on next, and we have a group ID. My group ID is Radovan, but you can type whatever you want. You can type your name, and the artifact ID will be the name of the project. For example, here we will create a simple Spring MVC application, and I will call it Spring MVC Start. That will be the name of our Maven project. Now we can click on finish, and our project will be created. Okay, our project is created, but let me see. We have, as you can see, we have some errors by default, and it's don't worry about that. It's normal. We will resolve that as quick as possible. First thing that we need to do, let's open the most important file. It's a Pom XML. Just a second, and here is our Pom XML file. Inside is the name of the project and properties, which Java compiler we will use. In my Eclipse version is 1.7 by default, but of course we will change it. We have some dependencies. Inside the dependencies we are adding the libraries that we will use in our project. By default we have only a JUnit dependency that we will not need for the testing, and I usually don't use that. That means that I can delete this dependency. I will get a read of first of all things that I don't need, and then I will add the libraries that I will use. And one thing that we will not, these 3 lines of code, this name and URL, as you can see, www.example.com, we don't need these 3 lines of code. And plugin management. In the build project we have a final name that we will need. It's a name of our project, and we have some plugin management by default. And this plugin management we don't need. We will also get rid of that. We will okay, here where plugin management ends, all inside the plugin management we will delete. We don't need. In the build now we have only final name, which is perfect. And now we need to set up the dependencies. We need to add the dependencies that we will use, and also we need to change these properties a little bit in order to our project to work. And for the dependencies we will need a couple of them. And where we can find the dependencies, we need to go to our web browser. You can open your web browser and you can type Maven repository. Here it is. And inside this you will find all the dependencies available for your Maven project. There are thousands of dependencies. Of course, we'll only just add a couple of them which we will use in our project. First that I want to use, I will use JSP for the Java server pages. Let me open this dependency. We have versions of the dependencies, and we will use the latest is 2.33, and let's add to our project. Okay, we will just copy and paste the dependency. Also, we will use Java Servlet. Let me find Java Servlet. Here it is. And 4.0.1 is the last version. We will just copy. Of course, as you can see, we are copying dependencies for Maven. If you are using Gradle, you will copy the dependencies. But as I told you, we will work only with Maven. And let me paste this. Okay, I have just a second. Okay, I think it's okay. And now, of course, we are working with Spring Framework. We need to add dependencies for the Spring. And this is the starter project. First, let's type Spring Framework. But this is Spring Framework, but it is better to use Spring Core. Of course, it's a core of the Spring Framework. Here is the last version now. Okay, now we are the December. Okay, the last version is 5.3. I usually use 5.3.12. But there is 2 new versions. Okay, we will try the newest Spring. We will see how it works. And because we will do a web application, we need also as dependencies for the Spring Web and Spring Web MVC. Spring Web. Okay, we will use the newest version, but you will see later, not always, in all cases, newest version are the best solution, but in the case of Spring Framework, I think that everything will be fine. I haven't used this version, but we will try. And also here is a web MVC. Let's copy and let's paste it here. Okay. All dependencies are need to be inside dependencies body. Okay, we cannot copy dependencies outside the dependencies tag. Okay, we are good. We are done with dependencies, and now we need to set our properties. As you can see, 1.7 Java compiler is by default library, as you can see here. I will not. That means that by default it's Java 7, which is not good. We can use you can use Java 8 if you want. If you have Java compiler JDK 8, and because I know that still a lot of you are using Java 8, you will just change here to 1.8. And for the other versions, if you are using Java 9, for example, you will not type 1.9. You will change here to 9 or 11 or 12. Now currently there is Java 17. For example, 17. You will, if you are using Java 17, you will type like this. I will use Java 11. But I will explain once more. If you are using Java 8, you will just type a compiler source and compiler target 1.8. Of course, it will work without any problems. I will use Java 11, and also we need to specify a Spring Framework version. Spring Framework .version, and the version will be in the dependencies. We will see the version. Of course, it is 5.3.14. I will just copy. I will paste it, and we will just type .release. That's the version of Spring that we will use. And also I will show you now inside here under the source, but at this moment I will just save it. We saved our POM, and now it will update the dependencies that we have added. Okay, here in the index we have a simple JSP file, and now we don't have errors, but I can delete this. We can create another JSP file later. Let me just delete. And also now under the webinf we have a web XML file. I'm not a fan of the XML files. For the all configuration I will use Java classes, and I will close this web XML and I will delete it. Okay, and now in the Pom XML we should get, because we have deleted the XML file, we have under the var we have an error. by default, because by default it requires web XML file. And how we can get rid of that error? We will under the properties, we will just open one more tag. We will call it fail on missing web XML, and we'll just type false. And now let me just save it, and the error should gone, which is perfect. But we still have 1.7, as you can see. By default, it's the default compiler. To resolve that, when we add dependency, we have added dependency, we have changed our properties. That means that we need to update here, right click on our project, and we need to go to the Maven, and we need to update project. Okay, here is our project. We'll just click OK, and Java version should change now. I am using Java 11, and here is Java 11 library. If you are using 8, it will be 1.8, or the same thing. If you're using 12, it will be 12 or 13, depending of version which you are using. You just need to set the compiler version inside the properties. But we still have an error on, let's see, because we have a facet problem. Let's go to the properties. Here is a project facet, and the dynamic web model is 2.3 by default, which I don't want to use. We want to change, for example, I will use 4.0. Okay, we don't need to change any other settings, because we have changed in the compiler source. We don't need to, we just want to change dynamic web model to 4.0. I don't know which Eclipse are you using. For some of them there is no 4.0, but also we can use 3.1. It doesn't matter. But most important thing, now if I want to apply and close, I can't. I don't know why, but I can't change dynamic web model from here. I can change this. It's only 2.3 by default, and I can do it for here. If we want to change the project facet, we need to go to the Eclipse workspace, where is the location of our project. And I will go to my computer. Here is the downloads, and here is my Eclipse, where is my Eclipse workspace is located. And here is my project, Spring MVC start. Go to your project, and on the settings we need to open our settings, and we have a project facet core. And let's open, you can open it with text editor, and I will use WordPad. And we have some settings of our project. We are interested in facet, installed facet. By default it's 2.3. I will change it to 4.0. Of course, if you are using older some older version, if 4.0 it's not supported, you can type 3.1. It doesn't. 3.1 will also work, and I will just save it, and I will go back to my Eclipse, and let's try to update here on the Maven. Let's try to update our project again, and the error should be gone. Okay, it's perfect. We don't have any more errors. let me close this Pom XML. And also now we need to have a source folder. Let's click on this source, and in the build path let's use it as a source folder, which is perfect. And before we continue, here on the servers we don't have any servers. I don't know if you see, I think that you don't see well. This color is not very good, but no servers available, and click the link to create a new server. In order to create a new server, we will use Apache Tomcat, and we need to download it from the internet. And let's open our browser again. Okay, we are done with the repository. Let's type Apache Tomcat. Let's go to Apache Tomcat. Okay, we have some 8, 9 and 10 versions, and I'm using 9. Still, I'm not using 10. You can try. I'm not sure if it will work, but 9 version, also my Eclipse version also supports only version of 9. If you are using some newer version, you can try with 10, but 9 version will be perfect. And we have current version is 9.0.56. Let's click here, and we can here we have a download. Now, if you are using 32-bit Windows, you can download from here. I'm using Windows 7 64-bit. I'm still using Windows 7 64-bit. Okay, let's click here, and we will just download. It's not big folder, it should be download quickly. Okay, now I need to go to the downloads folder, and where is Apache Tomcat? Here it is, and I will just extract it here. Okay, that's all that we need for now. Now we need to go back to the Eclipse. Now let's go click no server. Let's click to connect the server. Of course, it's you will have, I will show you, you will have a couple of servers options. I want to show you that first. You will just click on Apache, and you will select the version. Of course, my Eclipse supports only 9.0. I will use that version, and I will click on next. And now if we want, we can add this project. We don't need to do now, we can just click on finish. As you can see, now we have a server available. Okay, and now let's continue. We have our source folder. Inside the source, we need to create one more folder. Let's click on new. We don't have a folder here. New. Let's click on other, and here is the folder. Let's click on next, and that folder will be under the source. Let's click here, and it will be under the main source main, and we'll type Java, and let's click on finish. Inside that folder we will create all of the packages that we need for our application. And the first thing that we will do, let's create one package. And the name of the package will be, I'm using by default for every project that I make, com.radovan.demo. And this will be a configuration package. I will type .config. and the package is created. And now under this package we need to create a configuration class. Let's create a class, and the name of the class will be Spring Mvc Configuration. And let's click on finish. Okay, here is our class, and first thing that we want to do, we want to this class will implement some interface implements, and the name of the interface is web mvc. Just a second. It will be web configure. Here it is, web mvc configure. Let me type once again, web mvc. Okay, here is web mvc configure. This will be our configure. We need to configuration the view resolver inside this configuration, but this will be configuration. That means that it requires, first it will require one annotation, configuration, and here is configuration from the Spring framework library. Of course, we can use now Spring libraries in our Eclipse because we have added these dependencies. If we haven't the dependencies inside our project, we cannot use that library. And also we need a couple more annotations. We need to enable web MVC. Just a second, enable web MVC. Here it is. And we need a component scan. This configuration will scan the components. Component scan. And what will be the component? As you can see, my base package name is com.radovan.demo. This is configuration, and then I can have a controller or any other packages inside this, but this com.radovan.demo is my base package name, and I will told the configuration to scan all the packages with that name. And we have base packages. Here is the string. Let's select that option, and as a text we will write the name of the package, com.radovan.demo, which is perfect. Now we need to create a view resolver for our application. Let's create public, and it will be internal resource view resolver. Okay, the name is a little bit complicated, but that will be our view for the application, and we will give it a name. It will be get view resolver. This will be the function, and let's create a body, and let's and inside this function we need to create one internal resource view resolver because we need to return it. Let's create internal resource view resolver. We'll just call it, because we will return it, I will call it return value equals. Okay, I'm sorry if you are here that my dog is barking. I can't do anything about that. She likes to bark. And it will be new internal resource view resolver. It's a simple one, and we need to this view resolver, which we are calling return value, it requires a prefix and a suffix, and I will explain you what it means. A return value. Let's first add the prefix. It's not add, it's set. Set prefix, and the prefix will be the location of our in this case we will use JSP, and it will be location of our JSP files. And we can to understand better, inside the main web app we have web.inf folder, and let's create. Inside we will create a new folder, and the name of the folder will be views, for example. And inside that folder we will create our JSP files, which will be the view for our application. And we need to specify location of this views folder. And we will do under the text /web.inf and /views / at the end. And that means that our location for our views will be the views folder inside the web.inf folder, and we have a result. And now the suffix will be the type of the file which we will use. We can use HTML, JSP. In this case we will use JSP. And now let's return value. Let's set the suffix, and we will type under the text .jsp. And the last thing that we should do, we need to return this return value. But one more important thing that you can do, we must do actually. This is we are using component scan here. That means that it will, as I explained you, it will scan all the components inside this package com.radovan.demo. But it's not enough. What it can scan? It can scan only. We need, if we want something to be scanned, we need to give it annotation of the component, or it must be or a component or a service or a repository or bin. We need to specify. For example, this will not be scanned. This your resolver will not be scanned if we don't give it a annotation. And in this case, we need to type. This is a bin annotation. Or maybe you will not understand it in the beginning, but it must have a bin annotation, or otherwise it will not be scanned. We will learn in detail later with auto-wire and bin. That's dependency injection. We will implement it later better. But at this moment, the most important thing, we need a bin annotation, and that means that it will be scanned without any problem. And I think that we are done with our configuration class. But we need to save it, and now we can, under also the configuration folder package, we need to create another class. We need to set a initializer servlet for our application, and I will call it web app initializer. Will be the name of the class. And it also needs to implement interface, implements web application initializer. That means the point of this class is this is a servlet which will start our application, and that means this interface requires some methods to be implemented. Let's click on here, and first thing that we need to create, the name is a little bit long, annotation config web application context. Here it is. The name is too long, but you need to be sure that we have annotation config application, but it needs to be web application context for the web applications, and we will give it a name. It will be a web context equals to new annotation config web application context, and that web context it needs to scan our configuration class. In this case, with the view resolver, this is a Spring MVC configuration, and let's type web context register, and now we need the name of the class. It will be Spring MVC configuration dot class, and now our initializer is connected with our configuration class, but we are not done. We need to add the servlet, and let's type servlet, just a moment, servlet register, I think, registration, and dot dynamic, and we need to give a name of that servlet. We will just call it initializer equals, and now let's type we have an option servlet context, and we need to add the servlet, and we need to give that servlet a name. Under the text we will just call it Spring initializer, and servlet we need to create, that will be a dispatcher servlet. We need to write, but let me go down here to be more visible. It will be new dispatcher servlet. Here it is, and inside that new dispatcher servlet we need to type a context. That will be the web context that we have created. We will just type web context, and we need semicolon at the end, and I think that will be good. And the last thing that we need to do, that initializer require a mapping and set load of the startup. We will use default setting. Let's do it quickly. Initializer set load on startup. Okay, by default it's 1. And also we will do the similar thing for the mapping initializer, and we will add the mapping, and by default that mapping it's a slash as a text. And our web app application initializer is done, as you can see. Perfect. Now we will just save it. Now the thing that we need is a controller. Let me close this classes. Let's create a controller, but first we need to create a package, new package, and we will delete this config, and it will be controller. Base packages will be the same, com.radovan demo, but this one will be controller, because I like for my classes and interfaces to be well organized to avoid the confusion. Now let's create a new class, and we will give, that will be a controller for our application. We can give it home controller, welcome controller, or main controller. It's not important. I will call it main controller. Okay, and the controller class requires annotation, controller annotation from the Spring Framework Web Framework library. Here is the controller annotation, because if we forget, that class will not be registered as a controller. And inside we need to create a function. It will be a string function, public string. We want to create some simple home page, and we will call it welcome. It can be welcome page, the name of the function. And we will return, because it's a string, we will return a welcome. That means I will return on Spring MVC configuration. That means that we will, our views folder for the views will be web info views, and that means inside we need to have some JSP files, and we have specified here that we will have a welcome. That means that we need to create, in order to this to work, we will need to create a welcome JSP file under our views folder, and also we need to type a mapping for this function, because controller will work, but it can work without mapping. Let's write, we need to type request mapping, and we need to open the brackets. We need to type a value and the method. Value, it will be, mapping will be slash, and I will explain you shortly. And also the method. The method, this will be the page that we want to use as a home page. That means that the method will be get. We will not post anything, and that should be fine. And I will just explain you in the minute. We will need to test it. When we test, I will explain you. Okay, I think that should be fine. I can say we should have, we are done with mapping, but the problem is, in order to work, we will return welcome. That means that we require, we will use JSP files. When we have creating a simple file, and if we want to be JSP, we need to type name and .jsp, and when we are creating a new JSP, we just need to type a name, which will be welcome. Finish, and as you can see, by default I have some HTML body. Title, okay, let's create a title. It will be welcome page. You can type anything, and under the body I can write some text. It can be age 3, for example. Here we need just some, but I'm sure that you have some basic knowledge. This is a simple basic knowledge of HTML, nothing special. We will just type some text, welcome to the Spring MVC world. It should be fine. Just one simple message. And of course, if we did everything properly, when we run this application, we will see we should see in our browser, we should see this message. Now let's try to run this. We will run on the server, Okay, we will use this server. Okay, let's click on next. Okay, and now I will click on finish, and we will see how it will gonna work if we will have some errors. Okay, it works very fine, and this is a simple web application. This is a simple web text, and as you can see, here is the web location, localhost 8080, and the name of our application. And what we can do, we can copy this link, and it is better to open it in the browser. I can close these two windows. I will just paste and go. As you can see, here it is. It works like a charm. Of course, nothing special. This is, but I'm sure that it is important for you if it is your first time to use Spring framework. And of course, we will play a little bit with this function. And what this means, as you can see, this slash is a mapping. Let's go back to that means this is that slash. That means this will be always default link of our application will be localhost 8080, the name of our project, and the slash. That's default location. But of course, we can change it. If we change this to, for example, we can type /welcome. And let's, of course, we have changed our project, and the server will try to load that changes. Okay, now we can try just to reload this. If we reload this, it will not work. What is the problem? And as you can see, we have a warning: no mapping for get Spring MVC start. Slash doesn't work anymore. Homepage doesn't work because we have changed it. We have added here welcome. This means in order to work here, as you can see, we can try refresh again. It will not work. But if we type now welcome and try to refresh, it will work. Now I hope that you are understanding. It's depending of the mapping. What we type, how we with a slash will be home page, and if we have add something of welcome, hello, or any other, we need to link to that exact link. Now let's create. I will just copy this function entire. Let's create one. For example, we can create a new function with the name of hello, and we can just return hello. Of course, it doesn't have the value. This value, it means I can type hello one for you to understand better. It doesn't need to have. It doesn't need to have the same name. This /hello. Let me just save it. Will be the mapping for our link. That means under the name of the project we need to and under the slash we need to type hello in order to work. But let's do it, and we will see if it will work. Let's type hello, and what's the problem? It's not mud, and the problem is just a second. No, the problem is also we need to change the name of the function. It will be hello page because the functions can have the same name. And let's try to reload. But what is the problem now? Again, it doesn't work because we don't have hello1.jsp. We have right here to return to return hello1.jsp, and in the views we don't have that file. That means in order to our function to work, we need to create that JSP file. Okay, and we will just type it hello1 because we specified that name. Finish, and we can just one moment. Hello page will be the title, and the text don't need to type h3. We will just type a text. This is, or we can write hello Spring Framework. Okay, that will be simple message. Now we can try. We have saved it. Now let's try to refresh. Oh, it's not okay, it's work, but okay, let me type. It will be header 2 better. Header 2. Okay, now it's better. I will just save it and I will try to refresh. Now it's better. Hello Spring Framework. As you can see, this working properly. And now we can just and if we want to have a home page, we can just copy this entire function, and under the hello it will be simple, and here it will be start page, and we can return start, for example. And I can, if we want to stop our server, we can do it from here, and we can start it again if we want. Run as run server again. Our start will be, we are starting, and we will have the home page, but it will not work because we don't have start.jsp file. As you can see, we don't have that. I will just copy link and I will paste it here. The start.jsp is missing, and let's create a quickly one JSP file. We will call it start, finish, and we will just a moment. We will just simple start page. I will not use the headers. Let's refresh. Now it should work. Okay, here is the start page with very low text. Let's see on the hello Spring Framework is working, and if we type welcome to the Spring MVC world. This is the simple example of Spring MVC application, and let me just close all these tabs and let me open my controller again. Now I really hope that you are understanding this mapping, and I really hope that you like this tutorial. If you have a problem with your code, if your code is not working, please download my source code from the GitHub repository. You will have the link in the description. If you still have any other problems, you can also post a comment in the comment section, and also don't forget to subscribe on my channel. And you can also follow me on Instagram. You will have a link in the description. You can also contact me there. And see you in the next tutorial.